Habs win 5-3 against the Canucks on February 2nd, 2021. This is your post-game recap. As always, tomorrow we'll have a preview video, and hopefully the Canucks can turn it around against the Maple Leafs. Canucks come into this one 6-6, third in the division, actually fifth if you go by points percentage. Habs come in 6-1-2, second in the division, but first if you go by points percentage, and they'll definitely hold that after tonight, regardless of what Toronto does. Thatcher Demko gets the start. He was fine tonight, 3-3 with a 9.14 and a 3.21 goals against average against Jake Allen, who's been pretty good so far this year. Came in at 2-1 with a 9.33 and a 1.68 goals against average. Lineup changes for this one and other notes. I've got Shea Weber's 1,000th game, BC boy. Roussel came in for Jake Virtanen, and I was not impressed by his game, and I will talk about that later. He did score, but anyway, top six got shaken up. Besser is playing with Horvat and Miller tonight, so Horvat and Pettersson basically flipped. So it was Pettersson, Höglander, and Pearson on the second line. In the first period, about 9 minutes in, Edler takes a holding penalty, and then right after that, the Canucks take a too many men penalty. I think it was Sutter and Roussel both jumped over the boards when Beagle came off. That was the first mark against Roussel tonight. I think that was probably his fault, just my guess. Nothing happens on that one. It was actually a really good penalty kill to start the game. 14 minutes in, Sherratt had a shot that went off of Horvat's stick, ended up going right to Anderson beside the net. Demko's in his normal spot. The puck's over here, and Chatfield failed to tie up the stick of Josh Anderson, so he makes it 1-0. Drouin had a really good chance about 3.5 minutes to go in the first, but Demko made a really good stop on that. 3 minutes to go in the first. Canucks failed to clear the zone. Brandon Sutter couldn't get it across the blue line. Another turnover, just like last game. Point shot gets tipped in by Josh Anderson for his second of the period to make it 2-0 Montreal. Roussel almost answered with about a minute to go. He shot one off the crossbar and didn't go in, so still 2-0. Shots in the first, 11-10 in favor of Montreal. So a pretty even period. Honestly, I thought the Canucks started great. Again, we'll go into that in the plus-minus segment. Second period, really good opening shift in the second as a response from the Brock Besser, Bo Horvat, JT Miller unit. But then that was kind of all of the positivity off the bat. Roussel took a penalty for kneeing Jeff Petrie, which is a dumb penalty. It was just a silly penalty. Demko was unreal on this penalty kill. He had one cross crease, made it with the toe, and then he was turned around, made a save with the back of the leg, and then he stopped Corey Perry. Really good kill, mainly by Thatcher Demko. And then I tweet out, I say, I'm done with Roussel. And I've said this in a video like 2 weeks ago, that I'm just kind of done with Roussel and the idea of Antoine Roussel. So I tweeted out, I'm done with the Roussel experiment. And then he scored right after, so maybe I should tweet that out more. Roussel bangs in, Hughes' shot ends up with a rebound. Antoine Roussel bangs it in 2-1. Horvat had a great chance about 7 minutes into the second, but Allen made a good save. Drouin takes a tripping penalty on Alex Edler, sort of stuck his leg out on him. Pretty obvious penalty. And then 40 seconds into that, Tanner Pearson takes a hooking penalty. Completely unnecessary. Just dumb mistakes all around. And then Tyler Toffoli had a 2-on-1 there, and another giveaway that led to a 2-on-1. Toffoli got stopped on there. But about 5 minutes later, shot from the point gets tipped in by Toffoli. He sort of was in a battle with Hughes. He got a stick free, batted it down, went in. Hughes needs to tie up the stick there, and that's the Chatfield goal and the Hughes goal, both of which just need to be defended better. You need to tie up the stick, prevent those from happening. And then literally like 3 minutes later, Toffoli scores again. Did a little toe drag on Jordy Ben, which again, you just can't get beat like that. It was a good backhander. Again, it's one I think Demko probably should have saved. He wasn't really expecting the shot, which is on him. But, you know, either way, you can't just let people walk you like that, like Jordy Ben did. And then with about a minute to go in the third period, Canucks go to the power play. Kulak takes a slashing penalty. Shots in the second period, 16-50 in Vancouver. So the shots are tied after 26-26, and it's 4-1 for Montreal. And I think the Canucks were playing a fine game up to this point. Kind of a bad second period, but regardless, into the third period, a minute in, still in this power play, Elias Pettersson scores a wicked wrister off the bar and in to make it 4-2. And then literally 2 minutes later, McEwen has a open net at a sharp angle, and he missed it. Again, you can't really blame him there. It was a tough shot. But if he hits that, it's a much different game. Hoglander drew another penalty, the second penalty he's drawn in this game, and he's just the way he grinds. That's it's something that just happens quite a bit. Anderson gets called for holding him. He kind of like reached around with the arm and like bopped him in the side of the head. Refs called it holding. And then the Canucks literally couldn't gain the zone on this power play. They spent the first minute of it. You're down 2 goals in the third period, and they spend a whole minute of this power play just not being able to get across the blue line. Pettersson did have a prime chance, but again, they couldn't score. Canucks pulled, again, I'm skipping 13 minutes here. Canucks pulled Demko with 3 minutes to go. Besser gets a bunch of good chances. 2 minutes to go. Canucks take a timeout. And then with 42 seconds left, before we get to this, one thing that really bothered me is the Canucks were playing this so slow. With about a minute to a minute and a half to go, they're in the zone, and they're just passing it so slowly. There was no sense of urgency. And I know you want to give yourself the best chance to score, but you need to score twice. So you need to score quick. They do end up scoring with 42 seconds left. Tanner Pearson sort of bangs one in. The puck is sitting against Allen's pad. It's like between Allen's pad and a skate. And then literally Allen moves his pad out of the way, and Pearson just smacks it in to make it 4-3. And then for the last 40 seconds, the Canucks couldn't get anything going. JT Miller gives it away at the blue line, and Jeff Petrie goes in and scores on the empty net with 5 seconds to go to make it 5-3. Shots in the third period, 12-7 for Vancouver. And I think that they had a better third period than Montreal did. They had a really good third period, just too little too late. Into the plus and minuses for this one. It was a bad game, so let's start with the plus. They had a better start. They came out actually looking a lot better than they did yesterday. I think the first period was pretty dead even. The first goal was kind of a lucky bounce off of Horvat, and then Anderson's just sitting there, can bang it home. Again, you want Chatfield to tie it up, but it was a random bounce that allowed that to happen. The second one was just a bad turnover, and it's really just 2 mistakes that lead to those 2 goals. And instead of it being 0-0 after one in a tight game, Montreal's up 2-0 with all the momentum. The Canucks don't play against Montreal until March 8th. I think it's the 8th. Yeah, March 8th. They don't play against Montreal until they're done 5 of the 9 games against them. They only play them 4 more times. So they can only hurt us 4 more times. And the third period was pretty decent. I think the Canucks played a really good third period. And again, if they can take this third period and use that momentum somehow into next game, which I doubt will happen, then that would be great. But on to the minuses. And look, my writing's ugly and it's in pink because it was the first pen I found. That's the plus column, that's the minus column. So this is going to be a while. So I said they had a better start. But the minus on this one is it was the same result after 1 period. They're still down 2 after 20 minutes. The unforced errors, again, that Sutter giveaway, a Miller giveaway, just a lot of giveaways. They're just... Montreal is applying pressure, but they're not applying so much pressure that they're forced errors, right? Like, yeah, there's pressure on you, but you're NHL players. You make the passes, you get the puck over the blue line. Just get it over the blue line. Get it out of the zone. Get it deep if you can, but just get it over the blue line. That's something that they just haven't been doing. Just these silly mistakes, not being able to clear the zone, and that's what's been killing them. Antoine Roussel, bad penalty, for one. You should never take a kneeing penalty. It just shouldn't happen. Don't stick your leg out. You know? And he just isn't an impact player. And yes, he almost scored when he hit the crossbar. And yes, he did score. And that's great. But all around, you balance that with his play the rest of the game, and I don't think he has a positive impact. He is dealing with a hand injury, and that's why he didn't play last game, apparently. But if he's going to be a negative impact, put Jake in, put someone else in. Someone else. Just done. I'm just done with Roussel. Weak on sticks. The Canucks are weak on sticks. The Anderson goal that Chatfield didn't tie the stick up. The Toffoli goal that Hughes didn't tie the stick up. And just battles that were being lost throughout the game. Need to be stronger on the stick. And again, this might be a fatigue thing. It just might be laziness. The Canucks are under 500 again. Back to 6 and 7. And it's kind of a tale of 2 teams with this team. You know, we have the team... And everyone's going to say, look, it was against Ottawa. It doesn't matter. But that game against Winnipeg, where they really built off of that play against Ottawa, they looked like, oh, this is a team that can be third or fourth in the division, right? Maybe third in the division. That was a third place in the division performance. But then you look at the last few games and the previous games against Montreal, and you think, this is not a playoff team. This is a team that's sixth in the division at best. They are not better than Calgary. They're not better than Edmonton. They're better than Ottawa. We've proven that. But the way they're playing hasn't shown it. And I wrote that after the first period, and they did, or after the second period, sorry, and they did turn around a bit in the third period. But again, they're two set. The Canucks team that played in the first and third periods compared to the team that played in the team that played in the second crippled them. And, you know, the first was a little unlucky, but you have to be consistent. And if you can be consistently decent instead of having a period or a stretch of 4 games where you're excellent, and then 2 periods or every game against Montreal where you're brutal, it's not a winning formula. These games, this team doesn't have that feel like they can come back. Remember last year when the Canucks would go down by 2 goals with 8 minutes to go in the third, but you'd still be like, well, they might come back. You know, this team, I'm not feeling that yet. And when it was 4-1, I knew they weren't coming back, and they almost did, but they didn't. And it never had that feel. They never had that urgency. It just doesn't feel like the same team. Not even really going to get into the Toffoli stuff. The last 7 years where Jim Benning has been the GM, and I have a video where I've gone over all of Jim Benning's moves. The first 5.5 to the first 6 years, I haven't been anti-Benning. I've been kind of like, he's average. You know, there could be worse, could be better. I'm changing my mind now. That's all I'll say. Game pucks for this one. Josh Anderson from Montreal. I thought he was really good. Scored 2 goals in the first period. He's battling. He's a really good player. And I said in my North Division preview that I didn't know what Josh Anderson would be because he only scored a few points last year. He had a really bad injury. He was out the whole season basically. And Montreal goes in and signs him for I think like 6 years, and I was thinking like, ooh, that might be a bad move. He's a damn good player. For Vancouver, I didn't write one down. I forgot to write one down. Fitting, hey? And I can't even think of anyone off the top of my head. I've given it twice to Höglander, and he was actually pretty decent tonight. Drew a couple of penalties. I'm not giving it to him. I'm not giving it to anybody. We'll give 2 to Montreal. I'll give another one to Shea Weber for his 1000th game. Congratulations. I wrote down here that Jordy Ben was really good early. And he had a really good breakup on a 2-on-1. But that goal by Toffoli kind of hurt it. You know what? Whatever. He was fine. That's all I have. That's my whole sheet. I did make my sheet look pretty, though. Look I printed off something that looks nice so I can keep organized. I got, like, the records and everything. They haven't won since I've done this. Maybe I need to throw these out. Anyway, preview video tomorrow to preview the Toronto Maple Leafs Vancouver Canucks 3-game set. Canucks play Thursday at 4, Saturday at 4, Monday at 4, all in Toronto. Jesus. We'll preview all of those tomorrow. And, of course, post-game recaps after all of those. Link to the Discord in the description. Link to my Twitter in the description. All that good stuff. I'm just kind of flustered. See you tomorrow. You guys can hear that, right?